Hey you guys, what's up? I'm super excited about today's video. I'm going to be trying out the brand new Revolution and e.l.f. makeup collection. They did send me over a few items from the collection, so I'm going to be creating these two eye looks for you guys. I'm also going to be doing lip swatches of the lip trio and then the other three lip glosses. I also have the liquid eyeshadows, the setting spray, so yeah. So I hope you guys are all excited about today's video. If you are, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, we're going to do close-ups and swatches of everything that they sent me from this collection. Alright, so first up we have the e.l.f. OMG palette book collection. I am so excited about this. This has a bunch of different eyeshadow palettes in one. So the price of this is $30, and when you open it up, it is literally like a book. So you can just slide over the palette, and there's a different palette under each one. Like, I am obsessed with this. I was so excited that they sent me this palette book because I thought it was adorable. So now let's go ahead and swatch each palette in here. So let's go ahead and swatch the first palette. Since we have so many eyeshadows, I'm probably just going to go ahead and swatch the whole thing off camera, then show you guys the arm swatches and tell you guys how I feel like these swatched. Alright, so of course I ran out of room on my arm and started swatching like all the way up to my bicep. But basically how I do my swatches is I run my finger around a few times in the shade, and then I do like 1 or 2 swipes on the arm. So as you guys can see, the swatches of the first palette are not very pigmented. Some of them did feel a little bit chalky, but I don't always base my opinion on arm swatches because sometimes shadows can swatch very bad, but then go on the eyes amazing. So yeah, here is the first palette. This is a very light color story. We have some mattes in here. We have some different formulas of shimmers as well. Like this one is kind of like a very sheer glittery shade. Then we have a more like chunky foiled shade, and then some more like smooth but metallic looking shades as well. I'm not sure how I feel about the color story just yet because it is such a light palette and some of these swatches like barely showed up. But yeah, here is palette number 1. All right, next up we have the green palette. So here are a close-up of the shades. I'm going to go ahead and swatch all of these. So here are swatches of palette number 2. I did a little bit better of a job keeping them on just my forearm. These definitely swatched much better than the first palette. I think because these are deeper shades, they just swatched better. And I noticed even the like metallics and shimmery shades in this palette swatched better than the ones in the last. But as you can see, the mattes are still very light. Some of them a little patchy and barely show up. So yeah, here is palette number 2. Next up we have the third palette, and this one looks so fun. It's a bright and colorful palette. So here are swatches of palette number 3. This palette definitely swatched the best. I feel like the mattes were much more pigmented in this palette. I'm not sure if these are like pressed pigments or something, but the bright colorful shades definitely have better pigmentation than the mattes from the other palettes. I will say there are some similar shades in this palette, like the yellows and then these kind of peachy shades. I'm not really sure why they put such similar shades in the same palette, but yeah, here are all of these. And now I'm going to go ahead and swatch the last palette in the eyeshadow palette book, and this one is a gorgeous neutral palette. It reminds me of like an everyday glam type of palette. So here are swatches of the fourth palette, and once again, these swatched better than the first 2 palettes. It's very weird how different all of the formulas are in each of the palettes. The mattes in this palette swatched very nicely, just like in the last one. The shimmer shades in here are also really pretty. I will say though that there are a lot of shades that are very, very similar in this palette. We have a ton of brown shades that are so close that they would probably look the same on the eyes. And then we have 3 like pink toned shimmery shades, which will probably all look the same on the eye as well. But yeah, here is the last palette. I think it is a really pretty palette. So next up, I'm going to be swatching these 2 eye glistens that come in this collection. These are dual-ended liquid eyeshadows. So we have a shimmering side and then a glittery side. So first up, let's swatch the gold shade. This is the shimmery side. How gorgeous is that? Then we have the glitter side. I cannot wait to try these on the eye. Those look so gorgeous. Next up we have the pink shade. First is just the shimmery side. This one looks a little like liquidy. That was a really bad swatch. Then we have the glitter side. So pretty. Wow, I love that glitter side. The shimmery side, I don't know, it's a little bit too liquidy and sheer, but the glitter side is stunning. So yeah, here are both of those. Next up, I have 3 of the Candy Cane glosses, and these look so fun. First up, we have the shade Best Coffee. Wow, that's very opaque. I was not expecting it to be that opaque. So here is that shade, a very pretty kind of like warm brown. Next up we have the shade called Cheer. Wow, these are very pigmented. I was not expecting that. So here is that shade. And lastly, we have Jack in the Box. I almost feel like these are like a cross between a liquid lipstick and a lip gloss because of how pigmented they are. But here are all three of those shades. So the price of these are $10 each. I was just reading the description and it says that these are actually a blend of both matte and shimmer formulas to create a unique finish. So I can't wait to try these on the lips. So then I also have this lip gloss trio, which is $15. So first up we have the shade Candy Cane. Wow, that's like very smooth. This does not look like a lip gloss to me. I'm very confused at these being called glosses. This looks like a almost like creamy liquid lipstick. Next we have the shade Candy Corn. There is that shade. And lastly we have the shade Syrup. All right, this one actually looks like a lip gloss. It's like a clear with some different colored glitter in it. So here's a close-up of those shades. So pretty. And lastly, I have this setting spray. This is their vanilla scented fixing spray. I'm not sure of the price of this, but once I find out, I'll put it in the description box below. So now that you guys have seen swatches of everything, let's go ahead and move on to the demo part of this video. So the first thing I'm going to try out is the eyeshadow book. And since this is 4 different palettes, I think what I'm going to do is kind of mix and match shades from each of the palettes because I am going to be creating 2 different eye looks. So I'm just going to kind of grab shades from each of the palettes just to kind of test the different formulas, and we'll just see how these shadows perform. So first I'm going to go into this palette and I'm going to grab this matte dark brown right here. I did go ahead and put down an eyeshadow base. Now I'm just going to kind of stamp this dark brown all along my crease, kind of just mapping out the shape that I want. I moved up a little closer so hopefully you guys can see better. But as you guys know, I like to do reverse blending on my channel, so this is gonna look crazy until the end. The pigmentation already seems better on the eyes with me stamping it on versus how it's swatched on the arm, so that is a good sign. Now I'm going to go into the green palette and I'm going to pick up this kind of medium brown shade, and I'm just going to start blending right above the lash shade just to kind of diffuse the edges. Going back into the 4th palette, I'm going to grab this shade, and I'm just going to lightly blend this right above the lash shade. I'm just going to keep repeating the same steps basically until all of the shades blend into each other. I'm so glad these seem to be going on the eyes better than they swatched. I was a little worried how these shadows were going to perform based on the arm swatches. So I went ahead and kind of cut the crease with some concealer. It does not have to be perfect. Now we're going to apply some shimmery shades. First up, I'm going to grab this shade. This is the first palette in the book, and I'm just going to put this right in the inner corner area. Now I'm going to grab this shade from the green palette, and I'm just going to kind of apply this all on the outer part of my lid. Now I'm going to take the liquid eyeshadow and I'm going to take the glitter side, and I'm just going to kind of blend this down the center of the lid and a little bit on each side. So here's how the lid is looking. Now we're going to move on to the lower lash line, and I just have to jump into this colorful palette. I think I'm going to grab this bright yellow right here, and just for fun, we're going to blend this all along the lower lash line. I'm also going to pick up some of this medium brown, and I'm just going to press this right up against the lash line. Alright, so here is the first eye look complete. It's just a simple kind of like gold eye. It is a fun look. I do like how it turned out. The eyeshadows definitely performed better than I thought they were going to based on how they swatched. So now we're going to do another eye look, and I need to do something a little bit more fun and colorful this time. So for this next eye look, the first shade I'm going to go into is this one right here. Once again, just going to kind of map out the shape that I want for the crease. Now I'm going to take this shade and just blend this right above the first one. Moving to the first palette, I'm going to grab this shade. Once again, just blending right above the last one. So for the lid, I'm first going to grab this shade, and I'm just going to pop this right in this inner corner area. This shade is such a gorgeous, like super metallic pink. I really like this one a lot. Next, I'm going to grab this metallic pink. This one is just a little bit darker than the first one, and I'm just going to put this kind of in the center part. These seem to be going on okay with the brush, but honestly, let me try my finger. I feel like, yeah, it goes on definitely better with the finger. And I'm gonna grab this pink from the first palette, and I'm just gonna put this on the outer part because this is the darkest pink that I'm putting down. Now I'm going to take the liquid eyeshadow, and using the glitter side, I'm just going to kind of lightly tap this all over, just to add a little extra shimmer. So now I'm going to take the purple shade from this palette, and I'm just going to kind of press this against the lower lash line just for another pop of color. Now I'm going to take this very light pink from the first palette, and I'm just going to kind of lightly blend this along the edge of the purple to diffuse it. This purple definitely does not blend the best, so I'm kind of not really liking how that looks here. I feel like it looks very patchy. Now I'm going to pick up this very light blue metallic shade, and I'm going to pop this in the inner corner. Alright, so here is the second eye look. I am happy with how it turned out. The purple was a little bit tricky to work with. It was a little bit patchy, but overall I would say the eyeshadow book, it did end up being better than I thought it was going to be. Like, these did not swatch like super great on the arm, but on the eyes they performed just fine, and I literally could think of so many different looks that I could create with this palette. Like, I would definitely recommend, if you're eyeing something from the e.l.f. collection, that this would probably be one of the best things because you get 4 eyeshadow palettes in one, and it's really easy to mix and match shades from each of the palettes. And yeah, this literally just has like every color you would need, except it could use a black and maybe some gray shades. Then you would really have everything you really need. So yeah, I am impressed with the eyeshadow palette so far. So now we need to try out all of the lip products. So we're gonna do some quick swatches of each of the lip products that we have here. So first up, I'm gonna swatch the shade Best Coffee. These smell so good. They have like a fruity scent to them. So here is the shade Best Coffee. I do like this shade. It isn't one that I would personally pick out for myself. I just feel like it's not the most flattering on my skin tone, but it is a pretty shade. These are very pigmented and they feel very nice on the lips. Next up is the shade Cheer. It's literally so pigmented. Like, I don't understand how this is a lip gloss. So here is this shade. This is not one that I would personally like pick out for myself either. It is more of like a Barbie pink, but the formula of these is very interesting. Like, they feel so comfortable on the lips like a lip gloss does, but then it has great pigmentation. So I can't wait to see how these last throughout the day. I wouldn't imagine them to be like super long lasting, but they are kind of hard to remove. So maybe they would leave like a lip stain after they kind of come off. This next one is Jack in the Box. So this one is a super pretty deep berry. My only problem with this is that it is a little bit messy because it is so creamy, so it kind of doesn't look very precise on the edges. I think this would probably look better with like a lip liner and then a tiny bit of this over top, but by itself it just looks a little bit messy on the edges, but I do really like this shade. Next up we have the Lip Trio. First we have Syrup. Okay, these also smell really good. These have more of like a vanilla type scent. So here is Syrup. This one's a really pretty shade. It's kind of like a clear with like pink and purple glitter in it. Next up is the shade Candy Cane. These just go on like so like smooth and velvety. It kind of reminds me of the NYX, I don't remember what they were called, like soft matte lip creams or something. This reminds me so much of those. This one is such a pretty shade. This formula reminds me of like a mix of like a lip gloss and a lipstick, so I really like the formula of that. And lastly, we have the shade Candy Corn. I also really like this shade a lot. It is super pretty. These are probably my favorite 2 shades, Candy Corn and then Candy Cane. And I love the formula of these. They're very comfortable on the lips. They're very thin. So now the last thing I need to try out is the setting spray. Ooh, I love the gold pump. Let's see if this has like a finely misting spray. Okay, it does look very fine. I don't smell anything. I thought this was like vanilla scented, but I don't smell anything. So let's try it out. Maybe I do smell like a tiny bit of vanilla. It kind of smells like a cookie almost. It didn't leave like any spots that I can see on my face. I hate when setting sprays do that. So not bad. So yeah, that is everything that I got sent from Revolution from the e.l.f. collection. So a big thank you to them for sending this collection over. Honestly, I'm the most excited about the eyeshadow book. Obviously, I feel like this is such a great item from the collection. And I just love the packaging of this. I love that we have 4 palettes all in one. So you can literally create so many different eye looks with this one palette. Basically, it's literally like one palette, but it has 4 in it. And then I also love the formula of these 2 shades from the lip trio. The one gloss is alright. I'm not typically like a very big like gloss person, so this one was just like okay. I just really like the formula of these 2 shades. As I said, they're very light but creamy on the lip. They don't really look like a lip gloss. And then these are really fun. They smell amazing and I love the pigmentation, but this is just not a product that I would typically go for because it is a little bit more glossy than like this one, so I feel like it'll probably like slip around on the lips, which does bother me. But the pigmentation on these is amazing, so if you really like lip gloss, you'll probably love these. The liquid eyeshadows were also really good. These remind me of like the Touch in Soul ones that are like way more expensive than these. The quality was really good. I really like the gold. The pink was just alright. I think the gold is definitely a prettier shade. And then the setting spray did go on nicely, but obviously I don't really know how I feel about this just yet because I'll have to keep trying it out. But yeah, I really love everything that they sent over from the e.l.f. collection. There are a bunch more items that come in this collection. These are just personally the ones that they sent me. So yeah, I am pretty impressed. I was a little bit worried, as I said, when I started swatching the eyeshadow palette book because they didn't swatch the best, but on the eyes, they did go on very nicely. So let me know what you guys think about this collection in the comments down below. If you're gonna pick anything up, let me know what you guys are planning to get. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys, and I also hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Also, make sure you have your notifications turned on, that way you don't miss out on any of my future videos. All you have to do is click the bell next to the subscribe button, and then you'll receive a notification every time I upload a new video. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching.